In this video, I will take you through the MA215 course, show you how to find everything you need in Blackboard, as well as give you a short MyStatLab tutorial. I would first like to review with you things that you should know about the Blackboard shell in your course. So when you open our course, it should open here to the announcements page. And on the announcements page, every week I will send information as to what should be done that week. It is best if you check your Bellevue email, as these will go to your Bellevue email address as well. You should also be familiar with the information in the Welcome to Applied Stats page. Notice here we have the course description, we have this video that I'm recording part of right now, and we have some information on what course materials are needed for the course. The syllabus is always important for you to review. Syllabus Part 1 gives the general details of the course. Part 2 gives you essentially how you are going to be graded, the kinds of things I'll be looking for, so certainly take the time to read through those. Again, the Announcements tab is where your course will open to, and then if you click on the Instructor Info tab, that will give you information about your instructor, whether it be me, that's me and my babies, or another instructor. Then you will click on, week 1. And again, this is set up by week, so obviously this is a 10-week class. For week 1, notice we have 2 major items. The first is the course introduction and orientation. Again, this is that same video that you're watching right now. This gives you a link to the forum to introduce yourself, which is how I verify your attendance at an online course. All of the information you need to sign up for MyStatLab, which is a Pearson product. You have to use the instructions in this course. You cannot go directly to Pearson. It is a single sign-on, which means you have to go through Blackboard to get to MyStatLab. And then some information on tutoring and more. If I go back to the week 1 folder, there is also the content that we are learning this week, which is chapters 1 through 3. So each week you'll see that there's introduction. There are course videos for you. Notice I've labeled each of the course videos with the chapter that it covers, as well as the topic that it covers. Quite often you will also have some data that you can open in StatCrunch, and I will take you through that a little bit later in this video. This tells you which homework in MyStatLab to complete, a link to the forum question, and then this is just some extra practice for you in case you want to review before you take an assessment. Notice all of the weeks are set up the same way. This is a 10-week course, so you will finish Unit 5 and take your finals in the same week. Again, notice under Resources you have tutoring and more. That's some information that might be helpful to you if you start to struggle and need a tutor. Here's information on how to find a tutor. There's a stats formula card so that you can have easy access to many of the formulas we will use, some links to a calculator download, and then if you have a TI-84, I do have some videos on how to do some of those things in the TI-84. You also have your course schedule tab, and the course schedule is updated for each term, so this is for summer term. This gives you everything that is due every day. Notice for the forum it says June 4th, which is a Thursday, and then the Saturday, which is when the second post of your forum and homework is due. The course, obviously on this page also, we have some important dates for the term, when you can add last, when you can drop the class, any days the university is closed, etc. Course technologies, to be honest, is not super helpful, but Bruin support and Blackboard orientation are great. Blackboard orientation is great if you haven't taken a lot of Blackboard classes. This gives you an idea of how to get through everything you need to get through. And then, of course, Bruin support is where you will go if you have any issues. It's always great to let your professor know if you're having a technical issue, but your professor will not be able to solve that technical issue for you. So if you click right here, you can submit a Bruin support request. That is great documentation to let them know and let me know the kinds of issues that you're experiencing. So that's everything that you need, and of course how to get to your grades. That's everything you'll need for the Blackboard portion. Now let's take a look at what you will do to complete your MyStatLab assignments. Oh, before we move on, one last thing. Every 2 weeks you will have a unit assessment, so notice here your first one is in week 2. I just want to point out a few things to you. There are some reminders here. Every assessment is worth 100 points. You have 2.5 hours to complete each assessment. You have to use the equation editor. You have to use it for your forums, and you have to use it for your assessment. If you don't know how to use it, I've created this video for you. Make sure that you watch it. If you don't use the editor on a forum or don't use the editor on a question in your assessment, you will lose 50% of the points right off the bat just for not using the editor. Make sure you know how to use it, so get some practice before you take your first assessment. Once you start your assessment, you must finish it in that sitting, and you have 2 hours and 30 minutes. All right, now let's take a look at MyStatLab. In order to access MyStatLab, again, I'm going to reiterate that you must use this link in your course. You are not able to go directly through Pearson using a course ID. It will give you an error message, so please be sure that you've used the instructions in the Unit 1 folder for pairing your MyStatLab course. If I click on MyStatLab, once it is paired, you will see the exact same options that you see here. You may access MyStatLab through all assignments or through Course Home. You will not see anything to the right. That is for the instructor only. So you will see all assignments, Course Home, and announcements. You never have to click on announcements, and I would not suggest all assignments, and here's why. If I click on all assignments, you'll see something that looks like this. This will give you a listing of all of your assignments and let you access whichever assignments are active. As you can see, I'm in week 4 of a course as I'm recording this video, so I can't get to any of the homework assignments that I haven't completed. I can only get to homework 4. However, if I click on Course Home instead, this is the screen that you will see. This is the screen you want to see. You will be able to see what homework is due, but you also have access to all of the items over here. And I will take you through why those are important in a few moments, but just take my word for it that you want to be able to get to all of these. So we're going to talk about StatCrunch in a little bit, but again, I can click on homework, which would take me to that homework page. I can click on quizzes and tests, which is where I'll go when I have to take my MyStatLab portion of my final exam. You can create or use questions from the study plan, but I don't recommend it as it does not take out questions that I don't ask you to do, so it could just be a waste of your time and you don't get credit for it in the course. Again, that is how you will always access MyStatLab using the MyStatLab link in your course and then MyLab and Mastering course home. So to begin homework, again, I'm going to click on Course Home. It's going to take me to this page. I'm going to click on Homework. And on that homework page, I'm going to choose whichever homework I want to work on. So for instance, I'm going to choose Homework 5, and I'm going to choose Question 2. It's going to open up my homework to Question 2, and the first thing that will pop up is an instructor tip. Of course, it's not going to this time because I've already accessed that question. So here is an example of an instructor tip. What this is a reference to a video. 12.1 Random Phenomena is the video that I would watch if I've tried this question and I'm struggling with it. You can certainly go and watch that video first and then do this question, or you can just X out of it, try this question, see how well you do, and then of course you can reference the video later. If you forget what that instructor tip was, just go to Question Help, View Instructor Tip, and it will take you back to that tip. Again, as I'm working, and I'm just going to choose hopefully a wrong answer. And again, I want you to notice it's giving me some information here that might help me to do better the next time. But let's say I still don't get the answer correct. So the correct answer was D. I chose A. I can go to the next question, which is fine, but notice I haven't gotten this question correct. So if I click try again, it's then going to take me to a different version of this same question, which hopefully then will help me to be successful and get the question right. You can try a question as many times as you need in order to be successful on that question, so I certainly suggest that you use that. In order to access it, there are actually several ways to access it. The first is to go through the course home, which takes us to this page, and then notice I've just gone down to StatCrunch, and when I click on that, it takes me here. I then click on Visit the StatCrunch website, which takes me to this page, and on this page, I then click on Open StatCrunch, which takes me to StatCrunch. Now again, I will take you through how to use whatever you need to use on these buttons in your weekly videos. For now, I'm just giving you how to access StatCrunch. So that is the first way. The second thing you might need to do to access StatCrunch is to go through this process that I've just shown you to get to this untitled page. But then if I go to Unit 1, and let's say I'm watching the weekly videos, and in the weekly videos it says, here's the data that I used in the video. So it says click here after opening StatCrunch. So now that StatCrunch is open, if I click on this link, it's going to take me to StatCrunch, and it's going to show you all of the data that I used in the video. So that is method number 2 for StatCrunch. Method number 3 and 4 both are in the homework. So I can click on Question Help, and quite often, but not always, there is a StatCrunch option here. If they don't think you need StatCrunch, they're not going to give it to you there. The last option, which is the most popular, is if they have given me data, as they have here. Notice there is a little blue double box there, and if I click on it, one of the options is Open in StatCrunch. Now I want to point out to you that when you're using MyStatLab and StatCrunch, you need to be able to enable your pop-up blocker, or disable your pop-up blocker so that it can pop open with this data. So if you've tried to click on these things and they're not opening for you, it's very possible that your pop-ups are being blocked and therefore you're not able to access this data. But this is great because now I have all of the data from this page and I didn't have to copy it over myself. I often have students who want to go back to review homework assignments that have already been closed. If you go into the Homework tab, and we're currently on Homework 4, so Homework 3 has been closed. And again, I can see that because I can't click on it. You may no longer work to improve your score. But let's say I wanted to not only just see my score, which was really pathetic, but I also wanted to look at the questions that I got right and wrong. I can't do that here in the Homework tab. I have to go into Gradebook. And in Gradebook, I can see that on Homework 3, again, I earned the 10%, but I can also click on Review. And again, notice it says you will not be able to change your score, but I can click on any of these questions that I got right or see any of the questions that I didn't actually attempt. The last thing I want to take you through is the homework help options. We've already talked about View Instructor Tip, and we've talked about StatCrunch. There are obviously some other options. Help Me Solve This is a great way if you're really stuck on a question. Help Me Solve This will take you through step by step how to solve that question. When you're done going through that tutorial, it's going to give you a similar question for you to do on your own. Sometimes you will have animations, sometimes you will not. I've honestly never used the animations. I don't find them that helpful, but some people might. Here's how you can access your textbook. This will open your ebook to the section that you will need to read in order to do well on that particular question. And then of course there's calculator and print. So calculator is just a calculator, as you can imagine, and print is if you actually want to print out your assignment to work on it Most of my students choose not to do that, but if you're a real paper pencil kind of person, go ahead and print, and you can either print one question or print the entire assignment. This is probably the most important question help feature, and that is Ask My Instructor. If I click on Ask My Instructor, if you'll notice, it's going to send an email to your instructor. So I am Professor Brame. It's going to send that email to me. If I'm not your professor for the course, your professor's email address will be there. It's going to note the section and the question, and all you need to do here is say, please help me with this question, and then include, this is what I've tried. So when my students email me and say, I need help with this question, it's very helpful to me as the instructor to know, here's what I know about this question and here's what I'm really struggling with. Here's what I've tried, or here's what I'm stuck on. So make sure that you actually do write a question or comment and then send. And what that's going to do is it's going to send your comments as well as a link to your particular question, and it's also going to show me exactly how much you have done. So please make sure that you've done everything that you know how to do before you send me the question. So if you know, if say there's a 4-part question and you know how to do 3 parts, do those 3 parts. When you get to question 4, then come over to question help and go to Ask My Instructor, and it's going to give me the exact progress that you've made, and then you're going to write a little snippet that says, here's what I need help with. Hopefully this tutorial has been helpful for you for navigating the course in Blackboard, and of course navigating all of the features in MyStatLab and in StatCrunch. If you have additional questions, you may certainly email your instructor to ask him or her.